Hi judges, my name's Hardeep and I'm presenting the Riskigators solution to mitigation mastery. Here's our team. We are a diverse range of individuals with a variety of skills. We hope to win this challenge. We certainly had a great time. We started by understanding the problem, and this is our summary of the challenge. We covered who risk managers are, what do they do, how do they run risk reviews, and how do they measure success. We tried to outline what the key deliverables are in terms of what we wanted to solve with this challenge. The first stage was to plan. So during our challenge exploration, we brainstormed methods to help us. We decided to stick with the data lifecycle and follow it to ensure we had a solid grounding to solve this complex challenge. The customer is the first priority, so to keep them in mind for the whole process. A couple of pain points to mention when we first started was Wi-Fi issues, which were widespread in the morning. But once we had overcome them, using the data lifecycle really helped us move forward with the task. Um, Even though we had limited time with the hackathon being 2 days. The intent of the brainstorm was to first review all the available data. So we looked at the hack summary, we tried to understand the pain points, and then we started to review the data available to us. Within the team, we discussed what are we trying to achieve and started brainstorming potential solutions, our goal, what the data told us, and any specific insights the customer gave us. All of this was detailed on Miro, so I'd encourage you to have a look at our board. Once we had brainstormed all the data available to us, we outlined what we thought were the key requirements of the task. In a nutshell, we're trying to understand how effective are we at mitigating risk, and which risks have been the most successful using historic data. As a product, we down selected some core capabilities. So ideally, we'd like to be able to analyze past mitigation actions and trends. We wanted to give some insight into the past mitigation effectiveness and give the customer some advice on data quality. Using a combination of this, we're hoping to inform future results um, for risks on new projects. Just as a product workflow, obviously the data we started with was a monthly risk extract. We had to use Power BI to clean this data using a variety of methods that we'll cover in the next slide. Due to the diversity of skills in the team, we had to use 3 different applications to process the clean data. So we use Power BI, Excel, and Python. Using those tools, we were able to create trend data. We generated some insights using the data and some reports that senior management can review on a monthly cadence. But the real value would be to the project team. So the project team can use the information that we've cleaned and processed and use the insights to track, are the risks being effectively managed, how long have they been open, and which mitigating actions seem to have the highest success rate. Uh, so if we have a look at our data, so we use Python here to review the health of the data. The first stage was analyzing the risks to determine the validity. So we covered this in 3 main sections. We had missing data, so blank or empty cells. We had illegal data, so things like whether the start date was ending before the end date. And then finally, we had data quality, errors with duplicate information, which might skew our data. So we had to clean or remove this to not impact the insights that we were trying to generate. This is an example of the Python script we use for data processing. This is the Power BI dashboard that covered all historic data. So it's an overview of the current risk data. It provides users the ability to filter by a variety of key metrics. The pie charts provide a quick glance of historic data of risk categories, criticality, strategies, status, and type. The graph on the right provides a cumulative trend view comparison of pre and post mitigation factorized costs. Following a review of the historic data, we assessed which risk types are most frequently raised. We then did a further cost assessment to track which mitigation actions were most impactful. The range highlighted in green highlighted the actions that either save lots of cash or reduce the risk cost by over 80%. These are the ones we wanted to focus on. Using ChatGPT to categorize the most successful mitigation strategies, we're able to produce these bar charts. We determine the most successful strategies by evaluating the change in criticality before and after the mitigation had been put in place. These categories were formed from the top 15 mitigation strategies. Likewise, the evaluation on the effective mitigations had on the cost. We had them ordered and categorized so we could identify the sectors of the business in which risk had been mitigated the most effectively. So once we had made the tool, we had to think about how do we share this, who's going to use it, and what might they use it for. So we identified our four key stakeholders as the mitigation action owner, the bid manager, and the senior leader, and also obviously the risk owners. And they're all going to use the tool in slightly different ways, and we think we've captured their requirements as detailed on the slide. Obviously, once we've invested a lot of time creating the product, it's important that this can be reused. So we've uploaded all our files. They're generic in terms of how we clean the data, how we process the data. So it can be loaded with new data sets, or the current data set can be appended to collect more insights and continue use of this tool. Judges' questions. Question one: which data columns are most useful or informative for your solution? So I think all the measures that had a pre and post review value, so cost, probability, and criticality, were really useful because it had a cause and effect a relationship, and we can demonstrate which mitigation actions actually reduced or eliminated a risk or changed the probability of occurrence. How much can your solution offer to bid or project managers in mitigating risks? So obviously the database in Power BI can if you have a new risk, you can search the database for similar risks and the effectiveness of the previously applied mitigations. This will allow the bid manager to down select the most effective means of eliminating risk or reducing cost. And the final question is, um, how can this ensure mitigations are implemented in a timely manner? So obviously, it's much quicker to find mitigating actions that you've previously used. So if you've come up against new risks, you can identify which mitigation actions yielded the most effective results, and you can down select them a lot more quickly. Thank you for coming to my TED talk. Goodbye.